very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a big thank you for coming to the Brand and Leadership Conclave 2017, organized by Whitepage International, a global brand consulting firm. Can you imagine the market size of pregnancy-related products in the US? It's $266.6 million, which, by the way, is at par with the annual revenue of all of India's IT sector put together. To understand what is really admired in the city of brands, we spoke to people about purposes and practices that make brands prosperous. Here's what they had to say.
Innovation. Okay. User-friendly.
So while we're growing up, we're surrounded by brands anyway. Like if our mom and our dad buy something, we just tend to keep using the same thing over and over again.
Because honestly, the products aren't that differentiable. So if I'm not differentiating between the products because they are quite similar, then the influence that the brand has socially is important for me.
Research and create a product which will fill a void in my life and not give me something which I need to adjust to and adapt to and create space for.
This is one such initiative by Whitepage International that recognizes and honors 50 most admired brands and business leaders in the country. After months of rigorous research and evaluation by a panel of honorable jury members with the likes of Mr. Ashish Bhasin, Mr. Rohit Ori, Mr. Sunil Lulla, and other esteemed industry experts, we are here to throw some light on the brands that have made it to the list of top 50.
It's not an easy task to look at so many parameters for so many different brands, apply your mind, and I think they've really worked hard to do it. There was a lot of groundwork done by the organizers, so to some extent our life was a little easier and it was organized well and it was online. The auditors were pretty sharp, and in many cases we were directly dealing with the auditors so that even the organizers didn't know. So it was quite a robust process. If I only say good things, I would be not doing full justice. So I would also like to state that, I think you're better builders of brands than presenters of brands. In many a time, I could get a sense that, I'm sure other jurors did as well, there was a lot more to the story than what you were able to tell. Probably your entries are filled by people who are more used to filling up large Excel sheets for sales reporting or something like that. But, every brand is a story. Every company is a story. And ultimately, it's how you tell a story. There are human beings on the other side who are judging it. While you need a lot of facts and figures, you need a lot of proof for what you're saying, but you also need to present that story in a manner that it will resonate with the person on the other side. So the one tip I would like to leave before I end this on behalf of the jury and certainly on behalf of myself is that for next year or next time, whenever you're entering an award entry, keep this in mind, that you probably have a better story to tell than what you're telling. Even if you're telling it good enough, there could be a way of improving it. There's no harm in making it interesting, highlighting key facts which you would want everybody to know, and just having tons and tons of run-on data or run-on sort of material is not necessarily the best way of what you want to present. And all you wonderful people for participating in all of this, and congratulations to all the winners, and thank you very much for putting in all that effort and building these brands around which not only do our lives revolve, but for those of us from advertising, our lives sort of subsist on that. So well done, and thank you for that.
PwC is one of the leading consulting and accounting firm globally. Amongst the various services that we provide to our clients, one of the important services that we give is we assist our clients in managing these kind of events in a transparent and fair manner. That has been our role in this event as well. Amongst the list of 500 brands, which the 200 were shortlisted by whitelist management. We then, so the shortlisting was done on the basis of an year-on-year growth, annual turnover, and market share. The 200 brands which were shortlisted were then given to the juries, the esteemed jury, to come up with their assessment for each of these brands on other predetermined criteria. We have been involved in tabulating these scores and then coming up with what are the top 50 most admired brands. I want to assure you that this has been an independent and absolutely transparent process. I wouldn't take more time on this. Congratulations to all the winners, and thank you, White Page, for making us part of this event. Thank you.
What I see the most important thing here, I don't know how many of you grew up like I did in the 80s and 90s. So for me, even today, a bulb is a Bajaj. For me, even today, a mineral water bottle is Bisleri. Even today, for me, noodles is Maggi noodles. So that is the brand recall that we are talking about. It is the branding which has been drilled into our head by these so very good companies, and with their products which have been consistently been good over the year, not over the years, but the decades now. Let's take the food processing industry, for example. UK, I don't know how many of you know that UK actually leads in frozen products, which is Indian frozen products like onion bhajis and frozen pizzas and frozen samosas, which is actually now exported from the UK to India. And they have set up their factories in Gujarat. You would know that we manufacture Gujarati chevda and Bombay halwa and the Balti mix in Leicester. So these are the things which are already existing in UK, but opens more doors for us to bring those technologies to India. In the UK, there are about 62 companies which are processing food and supplying to the population of UK, which is only 65 million, whereas India is a country of 1.3 billion people. Imagine the technology transfer here. Imagine those cold storage units which are coming up by the government now in India. If you have a food processing unit next to it, all the tomatoes which go for a waste can actually be made into a puree or tomato ketchup. Or for that matter, all those apples which are going for a waste can be straight away put into a food processing unit and converted into juice or puree, which can be consumed by Indians or exported out of India.
Hello, I'm Professor Malcolm MacDonald, and I'm speaking to you from the beautiful city of London in the United Kingdom. I'm an advisory non-executive director of White Page International, an agency whose life revolves around brands. I support them because the group combines strategic thinking and creative excellence in a way that turns ordinary brands into great brands. To get these top 50 brands, a meticulous research methodology and selection process has to take place. Over 500 brands were researched and evaluated across 15 industries and 25 subcategories. As a professor at 6 of the world's top business schools, I'm dedicated to world-class brands. They innovate around core benefits. The whole organization lives the brand at all customer touch points. They make it easy to buy through distribution and penetration. They make the brand famous and distinctive through relevant communications. And more importantly, they create superior profits and sustainable competitive advantage. All of this is great for the country's economic welfare. Well done, all the winning brands. Please accept my apologies for not being able to join you in person in this celebration today. And while saying goodbye, I would like to take this opportunity to offer our gratitude to the honorary jury members for giving their time and expertise to this initiative. And I ask them to come onto the stage along with the guests of honor to unveil the 5th edition of Admired Brands. Goodbye from Professor Malcolm MacDonald in London.
I'd like to call on stage Mr. Ashish Paseen, Mr. Rohit Ohri, Ms. Kavita Lakhani, Mr. Manoj Matthew Abraham, Mr. Taha Coburn, Mr. Sunil Lulla, and Ms. Pallavi Godbole to unveil the 2016-2017 edition of India's Most Admired Brands. I'd like to now call on stage a man of golden words, Mr. Rohit Ohri, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, FCB Ulka. Mr. Ohri, please converse with us and enlighten us with your thoughts and ideas.
I work in an advertising agency, right? And like Ashish talked about earlier, our revenues come from how we build brands and how we build trust. And I think the important thing that I'd like to talk about today is really that a brand is no longer what we tell consumers it is. It is what consumers tell each other what it is. Today, if you want to see a movie, right, you go onto your Facebook page and you see what your friends have said. It's a new movie, and you want to know whether it's worthwhile investing time and effort going for that movie. And if a few of your friends have said, your friends, right, they've said, oh, it's shit, chances are you won't go and see that movie. You say, okay, there's no point. But this is the, how fast information travels and how brands actually look at, building their whole trust, credibility is really changed. But the interesting thing is, for all of us who are in the advertising business, if 25% of the young consumers today trust advertising, what does it mean for us going forward? And when I spoke of this at Advertising Forum some time back, they said, are you saying this is the end of the advertising industry? And do we not have any jobs anymore? That's not true, really. It's about recognizing change and changing accordingly. And that is the fundamental most important thing. It's something that if Kodak had done years ago, recognizing that, digitization is really the way to go, it wouldn't have been a brand of yesterday, right? So that's really the most important thing, is recognizing what the change is and what advertising and what marketers need to do to build brands and build trust. There's always a question of trust in insurance, because there is such a lot of fine print that one has to read, and very often we don't read it, and you get a shock when you go to claim. So what is your perspective on, in this new world, how are you looking at trust and how are you looking at building that trust?
So I remember when quite a few years back, I was trying to reach out to a telecom CEO for an issue which I had, and whatever I tried, whatever mails or phone, I could not get past his secretary. And then I was thinking that as an MD and CEO of my company, if my consumers, and for me my consumers are there when they are in difficulty. But insurance brand comes into activation when things are really bad. You are down and out, destroyed, and that time a consumer wants to reach and is stuck, and they can't reach, it will be very, very sad.
Is it a challenge for the traditional brands, brands which have born pre the digital era, how they're adopting, and do you think it's not important?
The digital medium is something that even traditional marketeers like us have to embrace to be relevant to our consumers.
If brands actually lose, trust in the marketplace, how do they actually build that back? What's your perspective on that?
In our industry, 20% of the US, in terms of the clinical specialists, drive from this country. Trust is broken, then there are a lot of questions which need to be addressed. It's very difficult to kind of rebuild yourself.
Do you think that in the context of trust, consumers trust Indian brands more than they trust international brands?
Today, Indian consumer is keeping Indian products and foreign products at the same pedestal and giving them an option. And if Indian products are able to demonstrate that they have the same set of qualities or better set of qualities, then Indian consumer is actually preferring Indian brand.
Today, packaging and consumers are actually, if you go to modern trade, and with the growth of modern trade, a lot of consumers, the housewives, are actually picking up the pack and reading what is written behind it, right? So the whole thing of I trust not what you say in advertising, but finally I will read what you have on your packaging, because that is mandated. And how are you seeing that evolve as almost like a communication medium, to consumers?
I'm happy to say that the core brand vision that we had, the brand construct, which we did, we framed something called as a 5C, counterfeit, compliance, child resistance packaging and communication. So coming back to the compliance part, that's the thing that is written in the packaging, that becomes extremely and exceedingly important. We, as a company, we have come out with a digital solution where a lot of those communication within the packaging is possible to read with your smartphone. So we have a solution. So these are some very interesting advent of communication vis-a-vis packaging that is evolving, and that is only going to grow and reach out to consumer.
Thank you so much. Enjoyed the discussion. Thank you.
Mr. Sudhir Mungantiwar, Honorable Minister of Finance and Planning, Forest, Maharashtra. I request you to please come on stage for a moment, sir. I also request Mr. Taha Coburn to please come on stage. Today we are honoring special achievers and extraordinary leaders who have created benchmarks of excellence with their styles of leadership. Our first award is a Lifetime Achievement Award for an extraordinary leader. He has pioneered a whole new industry and built one of the country's best-known brands, Hindware.
First of all, let me thank the jury, the eminent jury, for selecting me for this honor. To the organizers and to you, sir, through your hands I received this Lifetime Achievement Award. My brand is 56 years old now and hope I'll cross 100. I may not be there on the screen at that time, but there will be someone.
Our next special award is to honor a leader who has already been named amongst top 50 women business leaders in India several times by various publications like Business Today and Fortune India. White Page International is proud to honor Ms. Ashu Suyash, current Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of CRISIL, a global analytical company owned by S&P Global Inc.
It's an honor to receive this award. Thank you very much, jury. Thank you very much, Minister. I feel leaders like me have the privilege of receiving the award, not because of ourselves, but the companies that we represent, the team that we lead. And today I stand here on behalf of my company and team.
Next, I'd like to call on stage a woman par excellence. She has been the director at Parle Agro since the age of 22. She has diversified confectionery, pure fruit juices, baked snacks, and doubled global presence by stepping up exports in over 20 different countries. White Page International is proud to honor Ms. Shauna as the most influential women entrepreneur of the year. I request Mr. V. Jambunathan, Vice President, Cost Leadership and Risk Management, Parle Agro, to please come on stage and receive the award. We'd now like to call on stage Mr. S.K. Sayal to honor him with a Lifetime Achievement Award for his contribution to the real estate industry.
Really a great honor for me. Thank you, White Page International. And thank you, jury, for selecting me for this honor.